mean, it's horrific, it's despicable. He's in jail, that's exactly where he belongs, and I hope he's there forever, quite frankly.
They are acts that can only be described as revolting and unthinkable. Tonight, a teacher is behind bars for allegedly doing things to children that most people can't even imagine.
The details of the crimes are grisly, to say the least, and KTLA 5's David Begnaud is live in Torrance with the very latest on this. David?
Share at the spot where this teacher was arrested. It's quiet tonight. His sister, who lives downstairs from him, has left town. This case comes down to two issues: a photo developer and a cup of semen. And had it not been for both, this man might still be teaching young children right now. Here's how they got him. It was December of 2010 inside that CVS in Redondo Beach. An employee developing photos for Mark Burnt saw something disturbing. A young child blindfolded with a white cloth and gagged with clear masking tape. The employee kept developing more and more pictures showing kids who were smiling. Confused, CVS called police. Rapidly, cops figured out Burnt was a teacher working at Miramonte Elementary in South L.A. School officials were notified, and Burnt was immediately placed on leave. One day, a detective walked into his classroom and found a spoon in a small cup with liquid in it inside a trash can. It looked very similar to a spoon seen in Burnt's photos. Police tested the spoon and the cup, and it came back positive for semen. They were onto him. The district fired him, and police started following him. One day he dropped an object, and an officer right behind him picked it up. Officials got a DNA sample from that object, and they compared it to the DNA in the semen, and boom, it was a match. Police now allege Burnt was playing games with his students and then giving them as a reward a sweet treat: semen mixed with sugar.
My God, he's been kind of freaky all these years. I know him, the way he talks and moves, and this is what he does. I'm not surprised.
John is the gardener at the Torrance building where Burnt has lived for 30 years. Monday, when police came to Burnt's door to arrest him, a neighbor heard the knocking and recorded it.
I see him as off in the head, you know, skinny.
Recently, John says he saw Burnt down by the Redondo Beach pier. He says Burnt was riding a bicycle with a young girl. John spotted him, said hello, and then asked, "Who's the girl?"
This was one of my students from school. Right away in my gut, I said, you know what, I'll be damn, he's a child. He's a molester, man, he gotta be. You can't do that. And he says, don't tell my sister. Then that even put the icing on the cake. I should have called the police. He would have been gone.
So interesting. 8:30 tomorrow morning, Burnt in court for his arraignment. KTLA 5 will be there. Tonight he's being held on a $2.3 million bail, we're told, in isolation for his own safety. We're live tonight in Torrance. I'm David Begnaud, KTLA 5 News.
David, thank you. There are 23 known victims, but investigators have linked nearly 400 disturbing photographs to former teacher Mark Burnt, leaving investigators and parents to wonder if there are more young victims to be found. Carolyn Costello live in South L.A. with that part of the story. Carolyn.
Well, Mike, this teacher is accused of passing off these alleged crimes as games involving blindfolds. In some instances, cockroaches crawling on children's faces. Tonight, we spoke with one student who says he, too, was blindfolded and photographed in Mark Burnt's classroom.
Would blindfold us and tell us to pick a lollipop stick from a container.
This 7th grade boy, whose identity we're protecting, says Mark Burnt was his 3rd grade teacher at Miramonte Elementary School in South L.A. At the end of every month, he says Burnt would blindfold him and his classmates. They'd pick sticks from a jar as part of a game to delegate class responsibilities. The boy's mother tells us she has a picture of Burnt posing with her blindfolded son.
It was me blindfolded and the teacher next to me, like, congratulating me.
This student tells us Burnt never touched him inappropriately, asked him to drink any liquids, and never put insects on his body. But according to investigators, Burnt is accused of lewd acts on at least 23 other students, allegedly tying them up, blindfolding them, placing giant cockroaches on their faces, and possibly feeding them his bodily fluids from a spoon.
He liked insects a lot. He did have cockroaches. There was one picture of him that he was holding one cockroach in his hand. He had some insects in class.
Psychiatrist Joseph Harasti says if students were unaware of the alleged lewd acts, their mental health may be protected.
If he made this into like a fun game or like a fear factor thing, which, you know, kids see on TV, yeah, if they were not fully aware that this was wrong, then it would save them psychological trauma.
But the alleged victims will have to undergo medical tests to screen for sexually transmitted diseases.
Yeah, it really upsets me. You don't know what kind of diseases this man has. You don't know any history about this man.
And investigators fear there may be more victims. Administrators say they immediately, when this investigation was launched a year ago, began working with the families of all 23 victims. But because of that fear that there could be more, a lot of parents want to know why they've been in the dark until now, why they weren't told about this sooner. One more note on this story. Mark Berndt has been teaching here for 3 decades. Reporting live tonight in South LA, Carolyn Costello, KTLA 5 News.
Carolyn, thank you.